telephone lines were terminated only in a small place in Lhasa initially, where the disturbance happened in Pago area. And then we got to learn that Lhasa area, all telephones got disconnected only in Lhasa township. But we were still getting information from rest of the part of Tibet, from Amdo and Kham especially we were getting, because all over people were rising up. Nomads were riding horses and going in protest. And when we were in prison, there was one monk who was constantly talking to his own relatives living in Amdo, and he was saying, okay, and he was giving a live commentary to us. We were listening, and he was saying, okay, there is a group of nomads in Amdo in a remote village, and they were running about looking for a Chinese to do a protest. Okay, because it's in a mountain where if you want to do a protest, I mean, you have to do it in front of somebody, and you cannot just say free Tibet in a mountain. So they were going about looking for a Chinese or a Chinese government, something representative, to say, no, we want free Tibet. So they were running, literally, physically running in the mountain, doing that. So that kind of connection. So immediately we could feel connected to all those things. But then, we were completely in disarray. We didn't know what was going to happen, what we should be doing. And because, protests in Tibet spoiled our March to Tibet idea. Now we don't know, because we were thinking that protests would happen later, and everything happened in 4 days. And the six month march, 4,000 kilometers march, now there's no point in doing that. Because whole world by then knew about the protests in Tibet. And protests in Tibet, the significance of this is this, that the Tibetans do not want to live under China. This is the clear sign. If they say free, independent Tibet, and there are many places they said free Tibet, independence of Tibet, but if they did, this would naturally be charged against them as separatists, and therefore they will be executed by them immediately. But then, Tibetans inside Tibet did that also. So the significance of the protests in Tibet is, China occupied Tibet, and China, what they call, they democratized Tibet. They brought developments in Tibet. They brought toilets and schools and clinics and discos and casino and shopping malls. They brought, and they even gave a railway line to Tibet. But the Tibetans were not really impressed. And all the time they were not happy about all the things that was happening to them, to their land, to their children. They were nursing, they were keeping. Just as my fellow prisoner said, idea is to live and struggle, not to die immediately. And this year when the protest did happen, everybody started to rise up. And therefore, this is a clear decision by the Tibetans that they do not want to any longer live under China, and they want an independent Tibet. It's very clear.
And what is the political result? There was a special meeting in Dharamsala in November. Many people came, 500, 600 people came. Apparently there is a big change in His Holiness's viewpoints, it seems. So there is also something very strong developing out of these uprisings, and what is that, and how can you describe that?
Well, among the Tibetans, there are not many people who openly and clearly say we want independent Tibet. We do not agree with Dalai Lama's stand. It's not many. I mean, until recently. Because everybody would know that the Tibetans are a staunchly Buddhist community. It's a conformist. And for us, Dalai Lama is not just a leader, he's a Buddha. We worship him. If Indians respected Gandhi and followed Gandhi, Dalai Lama is more than that. We worship him as a Buddha. So in front of the Dalai Lama, we leave aside all our reasoning power and we completely place ourselves in front of him. And therefore, when His Holiness says, let's have autonomy, even the educated Tibetans would say, maybe I'm not totally understanding. There must be something there about this autonomy thing. Because Dalai Lama is saying it, because he's a Buddha of past, present, and the future, complete knowledge. So there must be something there which I, because of my limited knowledge and education, I may not be understanding, but there must be something there. So with this leap of faith, there is this majority of Tibetans who support His Holiness. Therefore, the Tibetan decision making is a very clever one. They never say independence or autonomy. They say, let the Dalai Lama decide. It's a very clever way of making a decision, and both from Tibet and from the exile community, we made this decision. We had this huge meeting in Dharamshala recently, in November 17th to 22nd, perhaps the biggest ever, historic. 562 representatives from all different lengths and breadths and variety of community came to Dharamshala to meet, and they were coming from 19 different countries, and all of them had collected opinions from their own respective communities, whether they're in the West or in India, refugee communities. And then the exile government was secretly being able to collect opinions from Tibet. More than 17,000 Tibetans from Tibet, they were able to present their opinions. So with this,
By the internet or?
no, through people, because it's a very, very communicative society, both inside and outside, this side and that side of the Himalayas.
How did it come
So no, through people, yeah, through people. So we got all these things, and then finally when we resolved, the Tibetans in Tibet, more than 17,000 Tibetans, when they voted, they said out of 17,000, more than 8,000, they said, we will follow whatever the Dalai Lama says, and his decision for us is supreme, and we will completely follow that. That's 8,000. And then little more than 5,000 people said, whatever we have to endure and undergo and suffer, we will do it, but we will not compromise on independence. So independence is our goal. And then a little more than 2,000 said, Dalai Lama has proposed this autonomy thing, and we agree with this, and let autonomy be the goal of the struggle. So you see 8,000, 5,000 and 2,000, that is the decision. And when the exile community met, and we talked about, there were a lot of discussion. At many points, there were even arguments about independence and autonomy, and which is usually a general scenario in any part of the exile community, whether it's be in Austria or Germany or Italy or in India. And then we finally came out with this decision. We said, because this middle way policy looking for autonomy is the popular opinion of the exile community, let this be temporarily the policy, let it continue, but with immediate effect, because the Chinese government did not respond to our efforts in finding a negotiated solution, because the whole dialogue process failed. For 8 years we have been trying to talk to China, and they continue to put pressure on Dalai Lama instead of talking and finding a negotiated solution. We said that we will stop sending delegations to China. So no delegations to China will go from our side. And then we said, if China fails to continue to respond to us, then within a short period of time, we will reinstate independence as the goal of the struggle, or we will start to demand the right to self-determination of the Tibetans. So I think the whole decision was very clear, stepwise, and there is both a public mandate, at the same time an alternative, for the first time adopted independence as the alternative goal of the struggle. So this is a very clear decision. And